Hi Jay, how are you?
I'm good, Amber. How are you?
I'm good. So today we are going to be talking about the cups. It's actually one of my favorite suits in the tarot, and some of my favorite cards in the tarot actually live within this suit. So I'm excited to chat about that with you today. So before we jump into kind of card by card, what do the cups represent for you?
So the cups represent to me a bunch of things.
Mhm.
So, I mean, when you start off at the beginning all the way to the end, it seems to be a very happy suit, either at the
Mhm.
beginning or the end. It has to do with a lot of family. It has to do with a lot of your relationships, friendships, particularly, um, some fondness, and it's just a really easy suit for me to read. One, I'm a Cancer, and two, I just this suit just resonates with me personally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. It's our element, right? I'm a
Yeah.
Scorpio, so typically in the water signs or the water placements, which the cups represent, it's the element of water. So it's our emotions, it's our
Mhm.
intuition, it's how we relate to people, it's how we show up in relationships, right? And how we kind of receive different experiences that we have with other people, and how we then take those interactions and take those experiences and then how they impact us on how we continue to evolve and grow as people. Um, so I love the water element. um, Lots of really, I would say it's lighter. I would say it's probably one of the lighter suits, which is interesting though, because like in day-to-day life, relationships can be one of the most complicated things to navigate.
Mhm.
So as we're going through the cups today, we're going to discuss each of the cards. We're going to talk about some key symbols that show up in them in terms of the rider weight. And then we're also going to then chat about if that card were to show up in health, career, finance, or relationships, kind of how we would read that in a spread. All right. So cups represent the summer and they represent timeline wise months. So these are things that it's not quite as long as the pentacles, where the pentacles are years, but these are kind of longer, a little bit longer themes, right? More monthly themes. So let's just jump right in, and let's jump into the ace. So whenever we get an ace, it's a new beginning. And I love this version of the ace because you can see there's the cup of water there. It's literally the cup is overflowing. It's there's a lot of purity. And there's a lot, I don't know, the word divinity comes up even now as we're talking about it.
Mhm.
um, there's like the lily pads that are underneath with the water, and the hand is coming out, and it's like presenting this opportunity for a new cup. So there's the white dove of peace that we see here up at the top of the cup. Um, and it's actually its beak is on a wafer. So if we think of like traditional offerings, in more of like a religious setting, kind of represent like body, that's what's in its beak coming down into the cup. Um, so it could be just like divine force, regardless of what your kind of like religious background is. In more of a spiritual context, it's purity, energy, love, emergence. Those are type of the main themes that come out. And I love that there's the water lilies here, because they grow in kind of mucky, murky water, right? And they're this beautiful, like this beautiful byproduct of maybe some more difficult conditions. And it's a really hardy, resilient kind of flower. So when you get this Ace of Cups, what do you get from it?
Yeah. So for me, kind of the thing that sticks out the most is like a new kind of blessing.
Hmm.
When I was learning about the tarot, kind of an older kind of theme with this one is a lot of people would be like, if it's a young woman, she's pregnant. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
I mean, it could mean that, but for
Yeah.
me, looking at the water, the emotions, the relationships, the new, it being an ace is new blessings.
Yes.
So this could be a blessing of an opportunity. This could be the
Hmm.
blessing of a relationship. This could be the blessing of, um, emotional clarity. This could be the blessing
Mm,
um, of having emotional or spiritual or intuition, maybe coming into your intuition.
mhm.
So for me, it's just means new blessings.
I love that.
Yeah.
Same. I think it's pretty straightforward. And if this were to show up, obviously in terms of relationship, it's kind of what we're talking about. It could be new relationship, or it could be a new deepening of the relationship. So it could
Yes.
be an existing relationship. It's just that relationship is changing. It's birthing something new. Um, it could be an emotional time. So because the water is actually like pouring out of the cup, so it might actually represent tears,
Hmm.
sadness, joy, right? Tears aren't always connected to sadness. But it is some type of really emotional new beginning in a relationship. Anything else for relationship if you were to pull this one up?
So for me, this could be, yeah, like a change of like, maybe you were in the friend zone and now it's a new budding relationship, maybe on the
Mhm.
romantic level. It may mean that, relationships on a kind of, maybe you were feuding with someone and this is uh, the time that is turning that relationship from, opposition to,
Mhm.
a little bit more of an understanding relationship.
Yeah.
This could be, if someone is having some new emotional maturity, like maybe somebody in your life, maybe a child, a niece or a nephew who was kind of a, I don't want to say a problem child, but maybe I don't want to say
It's okay. It's
anything
happened.
to like maybe they were being bratty, and this is them having a new emotional maturity.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I
if
like
you're
that.
a parent and you're worried about your teenager, this might be that turn of events that you see them maturing into their personhood.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. So in terms of career and finance, if I were to pull this
Mm.
card, I think what would come to me is that it's an emotional choice,
Yeah.
right? It's not necessarily a logical choice or a rational choice. It's checking
Hmm.
with your emotions, but also checking in with your intuition as well,
Yeah.
and making sure that you're doing work and that you're making professional decisions that are actually going to make you happy. And this could also be like the entrance of someone influential, and maybe you've been stagnant for a while. Maybe you're in a creative field or something like that in your career, and then like this new person comes in, it kind of like energizes your work.
Yeah.
Hmm. Career and
Um,
finance, what would you say?
I was going to say, if this card came up for somebody with questions about work or finances, I would just say, this is a nice opportunity for you to go to your intuition. You probably have the answer inside. Obviously, this is something new.
Mm-hmm.
This is for me a positive card. So, maybe your emotions are a little bit, going crazy in terms of like in your head, but
Hmm.
deep down, the answer. So just look within
Hmm.
and kind of pull out that
Oh, I like that.
correct
I
path.
like that a lot. For health, if this
Hmm.
were to come up,
Yeah, so
oh,
new
yeah,
blessings. Yeah,
yeah,
100% new blessings. So if
yeah.
you were, fighting some sort of illness, if you weren't feeling well, even
Mm.
emotionally, or, if
Coming
you
out of
were going
depression.
through a depression, your
Hmm.
anxiety, or whatever, this card coming up means it's a turn of the tides.
Hmm. I
New
agree.
perspective, new outlook, new, um, yeah. Or maybe, I mean, it could be new blessings. Maybe it's, you know, uh, a therapist coming into your life. Maybe
Hmm.
it's you understanding your emotions
Hmm.
and thinking about like a new perspective on how you view your emotions.
I agree. And
Yeah.
this is, you can also take the card literally, like, because the card, like, there's literally water overflowing. So one,
Hmm.
it could be like hydrate water.
Yeah.
But the other thing too, it could be if in a health context as well, it's like meeting people that you're actually able to have that vulnerability to open up to, right? Because the cup is flowing. Oh, now all of a sudden, all of these emotional, it's almost as if they were contained, and now it's like spilling over that you're able to release. Um, you're coming out of
Yeah.
dark times, someone for with emotional support.
Yeah.
Very positive card. Anything
Yeah.
else for the ace before we move on? I think
No.
we've caught it. Okay. Now, I love this card.
Yeah.
This card is so rich in symbolism, so I'm going to hold it up so you can see it there. So this is the Two of Cups. So twos in the tarot, they always represent a decision or duality relationships. They represent kind of like two opposing forces, duality, choice, and experience. And then when we overlay that too with the Two of Cups, this is a very healing partnership. So the figure here in the blue and white, we're kind of getting a nod to the High Priestess here from the Major Arcana in card 2. So our very intuitive, kind of very intuitive figure that we're looking here. And then this figure almost reminds me of the Fool, right? So it's like kind of that energy of that new beginning with that trusting my intuition that like I might not know the whole way, but I'm going to trust my intuition in it. So in between them is, I can never pronounce this, is a catechus. So it's the lion's head and Hermes wings representing
Mhm.
strength and communication. And then it's also, we have the two snakes, which represents healing energy. It's common to see that in medical contexts in modern day. In the background, there's a little house. So we can see it's almost like a comfortable place, somewhere that we have stability or common ground is almost what I'm finding when I look at this card. Okay, so when we talk about Two of Cups, I always love seeing this card come up because not that all partnerships have to be equal. I think strong partnerships are complementary.
Mhm.
So it's having common ground. So these are relationships that you're going to be able to work on something. You're going to be able to grow past something. You're going to be able to learn something and teach someone something. And overall, it's like a really healing connection. So I'm always happy to see this Two of Cups come up in a reading. Overall general energy when you get the Two of Cups, how do you read it?
You know, for me, when you get that little bit of like that health, you get the that staff with the snakes going around it.
Mhm,
To me, that's like an intertwining. That is your double helix kind of thing. That is your
mhm,
relationships kind of, you know,
mhm,
working out. So this is, you know, there's only a couple cup cards that would kind of have like a little bit of a darker, like a different kind of mood to it. But this one for me is really positive.
mhm.
You know, there are a couple cups, although it is a water sign, you have the blue in the background, but it actually doesn't have any water
Yes,
in
that's
it.
true.
So for me, this means partnership. So this is your friends, family, colleagues. I don't know if you're a student. These are like your work partners
Mhm,
on projects. This is your in terms of like the people you work with, kind of the ones that are the closest to you. Just
mhm.
kind of base.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's like,
at
so
base.
there's I agree with that because it's like success and love is also represented by like the laurel that's around their head.
Yeah.
Um so okay. When we're talking about health then, because we've kind of still touched
Mhm.
on that and this card were to come up, how would you advise someone?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going through something right now, this is just kind of saying like, you know, these are your support people. This is your healthcare team. This is, you know, people that want to work with you for your best good.
Mhm,
It is a strengthening of that with the lion.
Hmm.
kind of overarching that, you know, you have it could mean that you either have like a really good support system,
Hmm.
or if somebody's, you know, worried about their health, maybe they just had like an initial test, maybe they've just had their consultation, and it doesn't look so good. Just to find strength in those partnerships, find strength with your healthcare team, find strength with your support system, because it's there.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And just to layer on to that, because it is like the lions with Mercury's wings, Mercury
Hmm.
represents communication, short-term travel. And in the cups, it represents intuition, but you can see there's an interaction between the figures here, right? So from a health context, it could be able, to speak what you're feeling or to share your symptoms. And it's somebody who's really listening to what you're saying,
Hmm.
and somebody who is then able to help you and to direct you, right? Maybe onto like a new path. Because just with the figure in the yellow representing the fool, that's that new beginning, and it's a level of trust, right? Like, oh, I'll be able to trust this person; they'll be able to help me.
See,
Career,
I always looked at that
sorry.
character as more of like the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands. I know
I
they
can
don't
see that.
have salamanders on them, but
Yeah.
just that yellow robe that he's wearing, and then with the white and the blue, I always thought of that as the High Priestess garb,
Hmm.
right? So for
Hmm.
me, it was a little bit of like um, passions and intuition kind of
Mm,
combining.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, career and finance, like if you were to pull this card, even with that in mind, it's good.
Hmm.
It's taking things that you're passionate about, taking things that you're good at, being able to articulate your feelings,
Yeah.
right? With that communication, with the emotional nature of the cup. Also, maybe you've been wanting to learn something, or maybe you've been stuck in a job for a little bit and you want to grow. This represents someone bringing information to you that's
Yeah.
going to help you grow. Hmm.
And in terms of that, just to add on to what you're saying, is it could
Hmm.
be that that person who you're going to network with is
Yes.
coming forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Anything else for career and finance?
Um, for career, I would just say that, you know, your work friendships, your work partnerships are going to strengthen.
Hmm.
You know, again, with that kind of communication component of it, me thinking of it being like passions and intuition, and then the oversight of the strength of the lion, just
Hmm.
it's just going to be, yeah. If you're working on a work project, if you're working on, you know, I don't know, right now is review period. So if you've had
Mm.
your review, you can maybe move forward to help strengthen those work relationships.
Hmm.
Um, but, you know, communication, you know, work ideas, strengthening those bonds that you already have, maybe with your work bestie, or, you know, maybe someone new is going to come into the workplace. But all that kind of means to me is that it's going to be positive.
I agree. And same with relationships. I feel like we've touched it a bunch of times, but
Hmm.
to me, this is relationships coming in, just because there is that Mercury aspect to this card, it could be, and it's the two, right? So
Hmm.
it could be communication and choices
Yeah.
from an emotional nature. So this could be someone kind of maybe sharing their feelings about you, or this could be someone saying, like, hey, I want to be friends, like, let's be friends, like, I think you're a cool person, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and this could also represent, even if we're just looking at from an internal perspective of relationships as opposed to external. So this could be actually you getting very clear on your boundaries. This could be very clear, on you deciding kind of what kind of people you're going to allow into your life, what kind of people you're going to interact with, who you're sharing your precious energy with.
Hmm.
And it's like an internal, to me, that's the internal focus of it. This is like more balanced partnerships, and healing connections. Mhm.
Yeah. Agreed. I was just looking for my notes that I had made a long time ago about the cups and uh, the astrological symbolism, but I can't find it. That's all right.
It's Venus. This is Venus in Cancer. Is that what you're
Yes.
looking for?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is Venus in Cancer. So Venus is all about like love, relationships, and connection. And Cancer, as you know, is like family, friends. So it's overall,
Loyalty,
yeah.
emotional, yeah.
hmm
Nurturing, yeah,
hmm Great card to pull up.
yeah.
Anything else to add before we move on to the three?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. I know it's not that exciting in terms of like graphics or anything like that, but I love a Three of Cups. So in the Three of Cups, we have three figures. They're dancing around, they're cheersing their glasses. It's almost as if they're toasting. There is like pumpkins and squashes and so there's like this kind of material abundance that's over here in the corner. Red is always like passion and fire. And they can also represent, sometimes it's like the goddess, the maiden, and the crone, or the mother maiden crone. Some people like to use that interpretation of it. It's not something that I always use, but just to call out there. To me, this is more about like a card of celebration. Um, Anything else? So when we're talking about threes, now we're talking about like the Trinity, right? Trinities are very big in spiritual and religious conversations. It's fruition, expansion, manifestation, and amplification. So this is the success of partnership has now like birthed something new, almost in
Hmm.
one way to look at it. So when you see this card, what do you think of?
Yeah, so for me, this cup just means point blank celebration. You
Yeah,
can see how joyous they are. They're almost like it's almost like when your like arms are crossed and you are like giving the other person a drink when you're in those fun
yeah,
times with your friends. Um, this means not just celebration for an event that is meaningful, like a birthday or whatever. This also
mhm,
comes up when you need to celebrate yourself. This comes up when you need to just have uh, rebuild that relationship with your community. If you've had a hermit period,
mhm.
this is the signal for me to say like you need to be social. You
I
need
like that.
to reconnect with your community. You need to celebrate yourself, and you need to have fun. That's what this card means to me. Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
So from a health perspective, if this card would to come up, I would say
Hmm.
to celebrate.
Yeah,
Celebrate, have fun. This could be someone who maybe has had a long-term chronic illness,
yeah,
they've received good news,
yeah.
or they've come to the end of a period of ill health, or they've been taking really good care of themselves and doing all the things. And it's a reminder for them to have awareness of that and to give themselves like some credit for all the work that they're doing.
Hmm.
That's also kind of what I get for health when I look at this one.
Yeah, I
Anything else?
mean, usually people go on like a fitness or like a health kick with people. And so,
True. So true.
I mean, if an event just happened, like you ran a marathon and your body's like fatigued and like feeling really bad, this is like a moment to be like, you need to go and celebrate, have some alcohol. I know you've just gone through like a really focused period. In terms of health, this is like remembering that you have support. There are people around you that love you, and just go out with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spend time with people who make you feel good.
that's
Spend
right.
time with spend time with people who are celebrating with you,
Yeah.
is what I see with this card. Career and finance. What would you get?
So for career and finance, this might be like a win.
Hmm
Maybe if you work in the advertisement marketing or I don't know, financial strategy, this might be a win.
hmm
This might be, the end of the culmination of like hard work, late hours. Maybe you've won a contract. Maybe somebody's, if not yourself, somebody that you know and care about has gotten a promotion. There's something to celebrate. Maybe someone's
hmm
retired. That's always a celebration
Yeah.
for me. Like you've done this whole long career. Now we can celebrate your hard work and your career and your life.
Yeah.
Since we usually spend half of our life at work.
It's true. I like that one.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't have much to add because it's the same. To
Mm-hmm.
me, well, it could also be like your success will come more in groups of people.
Yeah.
This could be if it's someone who is self-employed, I might say like go out and network, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go out and hang out and have fun with groups of people, and work hard, play hard, right? So don't forget the
Yeah.
play as
Yeah.
well for a career perspective. And what relationships, I know that we've kind of covered, but anything else in the relationships line, whether with self, others, friendship, romantic, when you see this card?
Um, I mean, the only thing that's really coming to me is if, I mean, people are there's all different types of relationships.
Hmm.
So I don't know if this could be like an open relationship, a polyamorous relationship,
Hmm.
but uh, it could just, I don't know. Um, Definitely good things in terms of relationships. This could be strengthening friendships. This could
Hmm.
be meeting potentially like new friends
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Circle of support is one of, and safe allies.
Yeah.
So those are like two things that I have here as well. I love it. Anything else to add to this card?
No.
No. Have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life with
Yeah.
other people.
With other
Instead of-
people, exactly.
with other people, yes. All right. So now we have the ace, the beginning, the two, the decision, the entry of new people, three, the celebration of. We come to the four.
Hmm.
And I find kind of like the four to the eight in the cups is where that challenge aspect comes in, right? Because there's a level of vulnerability now. We've opened up to people. The relationship's not new. We've maybe had some experiences that have maybe left us a little bit wanting.
Right.
So in the Four of Cups, there is a figure there. They're sitting under a tree. Their arms and their legs are crossed. There's three cups sitting in front of them. And sometimes people will refer to those three cups as the actual Three of Cups from the previous card.
Hmm.
Um, and then you can see that little cloud-like figure, which is really interesting because it is similar to the cloud in the hand that we get in the aces. And so this hand has a cup that's at about eye level, but you can see that the figure is really focused on the three cups in front of them. And I get the sense of almost like, oh, I feel grateful. I have these, I have these great relationships, connections, experiences, but there's something missing.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes people can see the figure as like almost being defensive or guarded.
Hmm.
To me, this is maybe someone who's just feeling a little bit restless or bored. Boredom tends to be a word that I associate with this card. Um, but if they only were to look up, right, they would see this cup that is coming towards them, that is trying to get their attention, but they're very much focused on these three cups that are here. So I'm just trying to make sure if I'm missing any. There's not a ton of symbols in this card. It's mainly like the tree, the grass, and then like the red. This is where we start to see some of the gray. So typically in the cups, it's a lot of red, yellow, and blue. Um, and sometimes we can see his cloak, depending on what you're looking at. It's green, but it can appear gray, and gray represents confusion. Green is also very much of our heart space. It's a color
Hmm.
of like our heart chakra. So seeing a lot of that heart opening energy here. So if you were to see this card and it were to come up in a reading, what would it mean to you?
Yeah. So along the lines of boredom, to me, this cup is kind of the word that comes out is apathy.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that comes up is his arms are crossed and his legs are crossed. And in terms of
Hmm.
like body language and like with communication, it means that you're closed off.
Yes.
And so with the cup, which is offering a new beginning, this is somebody who's closed off to that opportunity, somebody who's closed off to an opportunity. You're only looking at what's in front of you, and you're not really in a mind space to see the possibilities.
Hmm.
So I do get a little bit of boredom, I do get a little bit of apathy, and I do get a little bit of like closed off to possible opportunities when I
Yeah.
read this.
I like that. And it's almost like, okay, I have these really good things, right? But so then if it's not this, I don't want it almost. But it's like, this is different.
Yeah,
This is new. This could be exciting.
yeah.
Sometimes I pick that up when I read this card.
So along that vein,
Hmm.
maybe someone's presenting you with something.
Hmm.
Maybe emotionally you're not in a space to receive it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're it's almost like you have the blinders on and you're
Yeah.
so narrow focused on what's there that because maybe it's emotional, maybe it's
Yeah.
um time consuming, but you're being presented with something and maybe you're just like, I have too much on my plate, I can't
Mhm.
add this. But again, that Ace of Cups is like, no, turn your head, look at it. It's a good thing. And so, you know, there aren't too many negative cards here, but again, this is one of the one where the mood changes. And so this could
Hmm.
be like maybe you're apathetic because you're stressed,
Hmm.
you're not sleeping, you're whatever. And there's something, and it could be a person coming in, it could be
Hmm.
an opportunity coming in. It could be good things ushering in, but you're just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're guarded.
you're guarded. Yeah.
Yeah. And from if relationships, so using kind of the natural energy of the card, I agree with you. This could be somebody who is guarded again because they do have, like their hands and their legs crossed. And it could be someone who is too focused on introspection, right?
Hmm.
They could be like, oh, I'm still kind of doing this inner work, or I'm still trying to, I don't know, work on something within myself. When it's like, no, like this external influence will kind of add to your growth almost. Um, in a relation, this would be, um, I'm trying to think of what kind of like advice I would give someone from a relationship context. I would honestly take a break. Sometimes is to step back, maybe get another opinion.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just surprise gifts, missing information, boredom, learn something new. Divine intervention is also
Yeah.
something that I have for this card as well. But you have to like just because there is divine intervention doesn't mean you're going to be able to receive it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
You could be closed off to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone just has
Yeah.
a lot on their plate, I think.
Yeah.
Or if we also then layer on the Three of Cups, right? If we remember this party aspect,
Hmm.
because this can come up again. You had mentioned like polyamorous relationships, or sometimes this has come up when people are cheating and partying on
Yeah.
their partners. This could maybe like you learn this new information, or this could be like I'm focused like too much on maybe partying and celebration,
Yeah.
right? And it might be like learning how to balance those types of relationships. That's kind of more, I would say, like a negative undertone to the card, or like something
Yeah.
to watch. um I still feel this card has an overall positive energy. It's just maybe you need a rest.
Yeah. I was gonna say with the three cups, maybe those are the people who are partying and celebrating, and you removed yourself from that.
Yes.
And again, you're contemplating, you're in a hermit phase of like introspection. But yeah, that extra cup is literally
Yeah. You're
coming
like,
out of
hi.
the sky.
It is.
So again, yeah, there's kind of that moodiness to this card, but overall,
Mhm.
I think if somebody needs the clarity, this is the card that will show them that you need clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very true.
Hmm.
What about for career? What would you say?
So for career again, so maybe you have been left out of something.
Mhm. Yes.
Maybe you've pulled yourself away.
Hmm.
This could be that your work partnerships, they're just socializing too much, and you're like, we need to get this done.
Hmm.
But again, there's that glimmer of hope. There's that or sorry, there's that Ace of Cups that is coming into you
Hmm.
from, whatever divine intervention or like an idea. Maybe it's you're that slight little bit of creative component to this card that is like, maybe this is the light bulb.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I agree. Or if you're bored, this could
Yeah.
be like a new idea or new
Yeah.
inspiration coming in. Kind of like I've tried, this, and this, and I need inspiration.
Or maybe the cup is like, I can see that you're bored with what you're doing. Here's a cup. Why don't you transfer departments?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I like
Give you
that. I
something
like
new to
that.
learn and advance yourself with. Yeah.
I agree. And when we're looking at this card through the like lens of health, I would say this could be somebody who is back to that kind of like partying a bunch.
Yeah.
And then they remove themselves from those social circles. And then this could be like the entry of, and they have this like new way of new boundaries, right? They're kind of looking at their health and their wellness in a new way. And they're almost in a way, they're like, oh, like I don't quite fit with those people anymore, but
Right.
I'm not really
Right.
sure where to. And then it's like, here's the entry of like, someone who's like, no, actually, like here I have this type of lifestyle. And
Hmm.
sometimes to me it's almost like a moving on card as well.
Yeah.
Health, it could also be like uh again, that apathy, right? Like you
Yeah.
have kind of it in front of you. um so it could just be a reminder to like, sometimes when you're in the weeds and you're in it, it's
Hmm.
hard to get perspective. So this could be like you're focusing on these details when you need to just remove yourself even just a little bit, and just to see, come back and like lift your head and just see what else is around you. So if you've been waiting for news, this could be the entry of news, or if you're waiting for like a referral, this is the entry kind of that. That referral is like when we're talking about health and wellness. Typically, I see this one as like more mental health as opposed to physical health. I see this most of the cards in the cups.
Yeah,
Anything?
100%, right?
Mhm,
With it's the emotional component, it's not necessarily physical. So
mhm.
definitely, yeah, there's a removal component to it. There's a, I don't know, like also when I see apathy, like this person also kind of feels sorry for themselves.
Yeah.
Um, but again, there's that spark of, something entering your life and just, are you in a place to receive it? Did you even know it was there?
Hmm.
Um,
I
are
agree.
you blind to it? Are you not open to it? Um, yeah.
I agree. Anything else for the four?
No, I'm good. That's
Perfect.
good. Yeah.
So after the four, we come to the five. So I'm just going to hold it up
Mhm.
here so that we can get a good look at it. So in this card, we have the figure who has their back turned towards us. Their head is down. There's a black cloak representing protection around them. And it can also represent like a mourning cloak. We have three cups in front, and it can appear as if there's like blood being spilt from them. And then there's two cups that are upright behind them. There is the stream that's up ahead, and then off in the distance, it's like that castle, kind of like that protection element, if we're looking at it in terms of like a symbol. And then there's this bridge here as well. So when I look at this card, this one is complex. So this can be a card where you're looking at your relationships in a new way. So it can first and foremost represent mourning, death, loss,
Hmm.
change, right? Fives are
Hmm.
all about change. There's these three cups that are in front. So this could represent like relationships that have ended, relationships or emotional states that have shifted and changed, and just given the state of the figure, not necessarily in the what you would consider as the most favorable thing. And then behind there, the two cups, and I always see this as like, okay, although this has been lost, you still have relationships, connections behind you, right? When we start to think of that Two of Cups imagery, and you're not as far from it as you think, because this person also feels like isolated or stranded, because on the other side of this river, kind of like this is where the town and all the people are, right? So they might feel like
Hmm.
they're ostracized, they might feel like they're removed, but the bridge is very close, right? So it's almost like the solution or the path or the bridge over from this state to the next is not as far, and it's not as kind of like dangerous or an arduous path as we might think it is. Um, Any other symbols in here that I'm missing? No. So if we're to pull this card, how do you read the Five of Cups?
Yeah. So the imagery of this card for me is kind of like, I don't know if when you were a kid, like you ever tried to run away.
Yeah.
And it's just that, like, my family doesn't love me. I don't belong here. I need to run
Mhm,
away. I need to start a new life kind of thing.
mhm,
Um, and that's kind of what this gives me. For me, it's also like a grief slash loss card. But I
yes.
mean, even when you're a kid and you feel so hurt that you just want to, divorce your family and like leave. It's kind of like it's giving me those kind of like emotions when I see this card.
Mhm,
Looking down, he's the figure is faced towards kind of the town.
mhm,
It's the spilt over cups, but also it's like there's still two cups that are upright behind you.
mhm,
Um, for me, the other thing that kind of comes to mind, depending on the reading, is like don't cry over spilt milk. Like the
yeah.
situation is presenting as worse than it is, but the positive side is like you still have, you know, something that's positive or like, to look
Mhm,
forward to. The distance from the village, there is a bridge, and it's like, you know, is this going to be like the sad kid, like kicking the stone on their way home, keeping their head down? Again, it is a bit of a contemplative card.
mhm,
It is, out of all of the rest of them, this is the most dark gray.
mhm,
Um, but for me, when I read this card again, it's like there's that sense of loss. There's a sense of maybe like a lack of belonging,
mhm.
but there's still, you know,
Hope almost.
hope, yes. And
Yes.
that's what those last two cards to me mean. And again, it could be the two cards from the Two of Cups.
Mhm,
You've just kind of turned your back on it. So again, like, have you turned your back on your relationships? Are you sad about, the loss of the Three Cups? Are you crying over your spilt milk kind of thing?
mhm.
You've removed yourself, but you're not that far. Like you're not far removed.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Um, so when just because we're talking about the relationship aspect of
Hmm.
this card will typically come up when someone has passed away, when a relationship has ended,
Hmm.
when someone has had like arguments with a friend or a friend group, or they feel like they are being left out.
Hmm.
Um, but five always represent change. So this is like this could also in that's kind of like the relationships with other people, like relationships with yourself. It could be like, I'm not going to think this way, or I'm not going to allow these types of people in my life anymore. So there's some type of event that's happened that has almost made them go inward.
Hmm.
And grief is a very natural emotion, right? It's
Hmm.
something that we also have to move through in order to have appreciation for what is behind. Um, Anything else for relationships that you would say for this card? No. What about career?
For career, again, there might have been something that happened.
Mhm.
It is eval season, so maybe your evaluation was poor. Maybe you're thinking about leaving the company. Maybe I don't know, maybe something went down at
Yes,
work.
absolutely.
Um, and
This
so,
yeah.
yeah, something went down at work. You're not happy about it. Um, and, you know, I would just kind of leave it at that. You can't, this is like you need clarification. You need to move on. What's the next card kind of thing. But yeah, this is just kind of, in terms of the minors, this is like a day, day to day kind of thing. It is cups, so it could be, I mean, like maybe the buildup of it, maybe there's an
Mhm,
investigation, maybe someone said like you stole their work, or there's an investigation, or something that's been happening in
mhm.
terms of career, or maybe you are just over it. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's kind of,
yeah.
yeah.
The other thing, like for just from my own experience, right? So when I left my corporate life, I grieved my
Yeah.
career
Yeah.
because it was such a part of my identity. And although I was building these things, right now I'm like a entrepreneur, and that I knew what I was building was good, and what I
Yeah.
had was good, and it was healthier, and it was better for me. There is still this period of like loss.
Yeah.
So it could be someone who is making, maybe they're have always worked corporately and now they're running their own
Branching out.
business,
Yeah.
or someone who left an industry, you know what I mean? Like we're disappointed by an industry or we're laid off suddenly or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, this card could also represent that.
So in terms of that, you have,
Hmm.
your mourning, they're looking down and mourning the loss of the three cups, which is like working in collaboration.
Hmm.
And then behind them is the cups building new relationships.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then for health, this
Hmm.
card does typically come when someone has passed away, or someone has received bad health news, or somebody who is very deep in their depression.
Yes.
That's typically how I would get this card. Mhm.
I don't,
Mm,
yeah.
mhm.
I agree 100% with with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So I
Yeah.
also think like being happy all the time is like almost like gaslighting your emotions.
Yeah.
So it's okay, like grief, sadness, anger. These are all elements of our very complex, like human, like human experience.
Hmm.
It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to have these like darker emotions. The encouragement of this card, and especially when we're looking at the cups at time wise, isn't like month, right? Over a few weeks. And to me, it's a bit of a cautionary card saying, okay, if this is going more than into many months, or this is something that is going to years, it would
Yeah.
be an indicator for me to advise someone to get help. Because it is something that's supposed to be kind of short-lived. And if it's something that they've been experiencing more long term, I would encourage them to right? To go to seek out
Yeah.
the help that they can get. Hmm. Anything else for this card?
No,
Okay.
no, that's good.
So after the five, we come to the six. So this is in the background of the five, and this is the thing with tarot, it's progressive, the cards are integrated. We see similar symbols or places or figures in different cards throughout the major and the minor arcana. And the cups is a really beautiful example of that, right? So we've seen the hand of the ace, we've seen the two, we've seen the three. And in the background here, there's this home, right? This structure. And then in the six, now we're inside. We're inside of that manor house almost, right? And that tower that's there, that lookout. And this can represent protection. So not only do we have kind of this coat of arms here, there's also this guard that's walking around. And to me, this card always has that layer of protection around it. There's the six cups here. And the figures in the card, they appear younger and they appear childlike, right? So we get this kind of after the kind of the seriousness of the four and the five, this nostalgia of
Hmm.
childhood or this reminder of play in a sense. Um, Also in the cups, there's the white, sorry, it's like the white, I can't remember what the blooms are. They're not lilies, but it's purity, right? Anytime we see white in tarot or white as a color, it represents purity. And you can see the one is like gifting the other. Um, and it's just very wholesome. This card can typically represent nostalgia. Sometimes people read this card as people from the past coming back or childhood themes coming back, which absolutely, like I've even had that experience pulling this card and then just different things that have happened to me. But this, I don't know, even when I look at this card, it like makes me feel very like warm and comforted
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
secure. What about you when you see the Six of Cups?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much yellow in this card
Yeah.
that it's a very kind of warming kind of card.
Hmm.
For me, I get reflection, I get nostalgia, I get memories.
Mm.
um, And I know for some, when they get this reading, it could, like I've heard people say, like someone from your past is going to re-enter your life, or like you're going to reconnect with an old friend, or,
Mhm.
something along that. There is there is kind of like that handing over of like a flower.
Mhm.
So it also could mean like you're going to receive a gift,
Mm.
or a message. Sometimes it could be like from someone from your past,
Mhm.
or, um thinking of memories are going to be coming back, and it's going to aid you in some way, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely that element of reunion is coming
Hmm.
when we're talking about it in the relationship context. So in relationships, if this card were to come up, absolutely, I would say reunion.
Hmm.
Or if someone is maybe, right, grief is heavy. Like the Five of
Yeah.
Cups is what this card is coming from. Um, so it could be support, and I like what you said about like a gift. It could just be like supportive energy, not feeling alone. And this is also like the blooming of seeds that have been planted, right? So now we're at the six, and all of the cups have been empty. But now there's literally like flowers growing out of them, represents summertime, it's happiness, it's good energy. And it's relationships that give you that like childlike wonder, right? Because
Hmm.
children, like, they're just so wholesome.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't like the word unconditional because I don't think that is correct, but it's pure. Like there's a purity
Yeah.
to the love and the emotion that is associated with this card. So if a relationship um kind of question or context were to come up and you pull this card, how would you look at it? Anything else to?
So again, it might just be like reflect or think about the good times that you've had with your significant other.
Mhm.
These memories can serve as a gift moving forward.
Yes.
It could mean in terms of like friendships that maybe someone from the past is gonna enter your life, or you've been thinking about them, or
Mhm.
um, memories, nostalgia. I know that sometimes when you think about memories and then you share them with someone, they're like, I thought about that the same day too.
Yeah.
And that could just be that gift, right? That
Yeah.
memory, the nostalgia, sharing it with someone.
Mhm.
And then just like that connection component that you get, and the
Yeah.
feeling of the time that you had at that moment. So in terms of relationships, again, it could be, it's a opportunity to share.
Mhm.
You might be receiving something from them,
Mhm.
or thinking about the memories of the good times could be the
Mhm.
gift.
Mhm.
Or yeah, just sharing something from the past with someone might just kind of evoke laughter, or and maybe that's the gift,
Yeah.
is just having that happy memory come back.
Lightness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Compassion and kindness are other words that I get from this
Yeah.
as well. Um, okay, so if this were career, I would say something that you've been working on is going to be rewarded.
Yep.
Or to me, this is like very much a harmony in your career aspect. Like you're being there's a vulnerability aspect to this card as well, right?
Hmm.
Because of the childlike nature of the figures. And then there's this guard here, and we have it's almost like this coat of arms, right? This shield that's here. So it's saying like there's opportunity for vulnerability because there is protection around you. So in career, maybe you're like sharing a dream, or you're sharing something that you really want. And this is just someone who's receiving it in a really safe space.
Hmm.
Um, Not too much for career that I can think of for this card. What about you?
I mean, career is a little bit difficult for me for this one.
Hmm.
You know, I'm just noticing that the younger girl is wearing gloves.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I mean, this could just be kind of the ushering in of like maybe the climate at work has been maybe not so great, and then just kind of that seasonal change.
I like that.
Some peace with the flowers, and um,
It's
You're
calm.
within, yeah, you're within the city wall. So you are, there is a little bit of safety and protection there, but um, to me, it just kind of means that, all of the hard work that you've done, you've planted some seeds that maybe there might be some fruition coming,
Yeah.
some sort of completion of something happening,
Hard work
or
paying off.
yeah, hard work paying off.
Mhm. And in health, to me, this is like harmonious. To me,
Yeah.
this is like enjoy it. I would be
Mhm.
like, be present, right? Be present in what's happening around you. Um, because it's like it's good things. So it's having like emotional balance. And again, to me, this is almost like a call to play, right? So maybe
Yeah.
there's been a lot of seriousness happening, and it's different than the Three of Cups, right? The Three of Cups is celebration and joy, and there's kind of like that wine component or that alcohol component of celebration. That's the Three of Cups, where this one is more, where was I going with? This is like connecting with people in a really vulnerable way. I don't know why that word keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Probably because the figures are young, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes kids like my nephews, they'll just like, I love it. They just kind of like tell me whatever. And it's like unconditional. No, I that's not the right word, but it's like anyways, I can't think of what I'm trying to say. Um but overall in health, it's like good relationships, good
Yeah.
connections, people that you can share with, people that you feel comfortable to receive with without agenda. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of health too, going back to kind of the thought of it just being about reflecting.
Yes.
You know, when you reflect, you have to be kind of present in the moment. You can't just reflect on a whim.
Yeah.
So this is a passive suit. It's not an
Yeah.
active suit. So I mean, this person is literally stopping to smell the roses. They're taking the time. They're being
Literally.
present, and yeah, there is that for me the reflection component to it. So in terms of health, just kind of reflect along your life's journey, if anything.
Mhm.
Going back and having a smile, to brighten your day about a memory that you had from the past is kind of where I'm going there. It's more again of a mental health kind of thing. It's more of like a
Yeah.
heart health kind of thing than it
Yes.
is a physical illness.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So from there, we get the seven. I'm going to refer to my notes when I'm reading all of these because this card is so interesting. And this is a card that you can go down a rabbit hole in. So it's the Seven of Cups. So we have, again, we're seeing the back of the figure. It's dark and it's shadowy. And each of the seven cups have a different potential gift in them, right? Or something for us to receive. And it's very much a card of options and choices. So, um, the first, it has like a male with a curly hair, which a lot of the times can represent temperance or the archangel Michael, which is very common in this Rider Waite tarot.
Mhm.
So, and that's a protection element, right? So you will be protected. In the next, there is sorry, the figure that represents an ascending consciousness. Sometimes people see this as like a Christ-like figure.
Mhm.
But to me, it could also just mean like there's something
I,
hidden,
I was going to say
right?
it's Ghost Jesus. It's Ghost
Yes,
Jesus.
it is. I know. Like when I looked at it, I'm like, how is that? Anyways, um, that is a very scholarly interpretation of that card. And then there is the snake or the serpent, which represents like wisdom and change. I always love seeing like
Okay.
serpentine imagery because we think of like the shedding of the skin, or if we think of like even activation of Kundalini is typically represented by serpentine energy. Some people can also take that as like snakes in the grass and it being deceptive, right? Um,
I was going to
and
say if that's like a Christ-like image,
mhm.
Jesus in the desert and the snake is the devil tempting him.
Oh
To me,
yeah,
it's temptation.
yeah,
Yeah.
good one. So in this cup here, we have the Tower,
Mhm.
which has a few different interpretations because the Tower could be like you're looking out, right? It's a symbol of protection and strength. But in in the tarot, the Tower represents sudden change and revelation. But here I feel it's more of like if you're up in the tower and you're looking out, it gives you an advantage. And then there's kind of like gems and jewels in this cup here. It's like overflowing like riches and abundance. This sixth cup is a victory wreath, which is common to see a lot of the figures in the tarot wearing, just representing that like victory like can be yours. And then could also be like fame, reputation, recognition, right, for hard work. Um, and then the last one is either, I don't see it as a salamander. I see it more as a dragon with a forked tongue. And it could represent like truth or lies, right? Sometimes it can represent decision, but to me, like a dragon also represents like power and strength
Mhm.
and bravery. So lots of interesting images. Oh, and then also the clouds are gray. And in the tarot, gray represents confusion. So it's like
Mhm.
amongst all this confusion, you have options. And you just have to, each of these cups can either be looked at as a positive influence or a potential challenge influence.
Yeah.
And to me, it's about like where you are emotionally looking at them and kind of like your lens, right? We always kind of have this bias when we're looking at different situations because of our own experience. But I actually feel this to be a very positive card because it's like you have choices,
Yeah.
even though you might not think you do. Anything else I'm missing or anything else to add to how you read this card?
Yeah, so to me, I get like the devil and the angel on your
Mm,
shoulders telling you, this is greed, success, fame, ego, and this is your id, compassion, do the right thing kind of thing.
I like
So
that.
again, it's influences, but it's
Mhm.
also usually it's indecision, right?
Oh, I
This
like
is
that.
kind of, if this cloud were your thought bubble, it just means that you have all of these things going on in your brain,
Hmm.
and you just kind of have to, reach out and take one. If this were to come up in a reading, I would definitely say, like, oh, you got a lot of things on your mind, a lot of
Yeah.
directions, a lot of choices, but also a lot of indecision. So I
Mhm.
would definitely get them to do like a positive like pros and cons list
Mhm.
of things, or it could just mean like it's just a lot of like wheelings and dealings going on in on the brain. It could be
Mhm.
like confusion, it could be overthinking, it could be, all of those
Mhm.
things. But yeah, I mean, so the dragon to me kind of represents that kind of the devil sitting on the shoulder. It's
Yeah.
that temptation component again with the snake.
Yeah.
There is that potential of ego of like wanting to be the victor, wanting to look good. I see like cloaked Jesus as like the angel, um, kind of being, smothered a little bit,
Mhm.
but still like radiating their um, thoughts and feelings to you. There is that greed or luxury or, material wealth with the jewels. There is
Mhm.
that potential for chaos with the tower. And then, um, with the headed figure, I just kind of looked at that as like um, you know, I kind of think of that a little bit as like either I never thought of it as being Michael the Archangel, but at least you
Like a
know,
reflection.
yeah, like a reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
throw self in there.
So if this card were to present for a health, uh,
Hmm.
I To me, this could represent many things.
Uh-huh.
And I tend to go towards the mental or emotional health when a cup
Yeah,
comes up in the content in that kind of a context. So I would say like what is imagined and what is real.
yeah,
Right. So this could be someone who is maybe fantasizing, right? They might be in the fantasy of it, where it's like, what is real? Like, what is reality? What is actually happening? And this could also be maybe someone who just has like a emotional overwhelm. I will get from
mhm,
this card in one way, but then also there's a lot happening, right? There's a lot here. Like there's reflection, there's this could be like high, like maybe something hidden to be revealed, but there I like the energy is almost radiating and
yeah,
it's an emotional suit. So it's saying like trust your intuition,
yeah,
right? Energy doesn't lie, almost that. There's lots of wisdom, recognition, abundance, protection, perspective, and power. Like, so this might be someone who has coming from a position of lack. And I would encourage to be like, you actually have a lot. Like you actually have a lot accessible to you.
yeah,
Um, and it's up to you on how you either look at that as these could be challenging aspects or these could be things that are working in your favor. And it's how you shift the perspective. Mhm. This or they could just have, like, so many things going on with their health that they don't even know where to start.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And again, for health, I also 100% agree. It's either mental or emotional. Yeah,
Mhm. Career, I would say you have lots of choices.
yeah,
What do you value? What is important to you? Trust your instinct. Mhm.
yeah. And again, if someone is at the fork in the road with their career, and this one came up, I would just kind of say like, you have choices. What are they?
Yes.
Do your pros and cons list. Is
Yeah.
one going to bring you fame and fortune? Is one going to be a little bit more of I don't know, maybe it's what do you call it, like non for profit kind of
Mm.
thing? Which
Mhm.
one at the end of the day are you going to be able to like look at yourself in the mirror? Like which
Yeah.
one at the end of the day, is it fame and fortune or nonprofit work that's going to make you feel
Yeah.
good about yourself?
Is it money? Is it recognition? Is it power? Is it protection? Is it wisdom? Like, is
Hmm.
those types of things. I like that.
Yeah.
And relationships? Uh, this would be a complicated. It's funny because I actually often pull this card for relationships for people.
Okay. I have
And
never.
no, okay.
No. I would
Um,
think that this is their thought bubble about their person. So if they're in a
mhm,
relationship, like you have a lot of thoughts going on about them.
mhm,
Are you worried about longevity? Are you worried about cheating? Are you worried about finances with them? Are you worried about building a
mhm,
home with them? Are you worried about, you know what I mean? So this is like
mhm,
um, a lot of thoughts going on
mhm,
about maybe the particular person that they're looking at.
mhm.
And for me, obviously you can't tell someone like break up with this person or marry this person, but I would
Yeah.
definitely say like think about why you're critically why are you being critical about them? Why are you picking them apart? Why are you looking at their personality, their goals, their finances, their ambition, their,
Mhm,
you know, um, or maybe you're thinking about yourself in this relationship in all of those kind of aspects. And again, it's like it's making that list at the end of the day. It's following your intuition. Like, do you look in your heart, look in your mind, can you see a long-term relationship with this person? We're at a 7 now.
mhm.
Um,
It's true.
um, but also ask yourself, like, why are you, why are you picking them apart a little bit, right?
Yeah. I would say go the figure is alone in
Yeah.
the confusion, right? And they're in the emotional space. So I would say go and talk to them
Hmm.
because these are all inward projections, right? The
Yeah.
figure is standing there by themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and it's in the dark. So it could also be like, are you maybe missing some of these things about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
right? Or maybe it could just be like an analysis of like all these different components of the self. But I would say there's clearly lots happening.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Go and talk to them.
Yeah.
And then if it's like about the self, uh, this is probably why I would say this is why you're here. Your consultation is well timed.
I know. And don't think of
Let's
me as
sort this
cloaked.
out.
Don't think of me as cloaked Jesus.
No. But it does like, but there, it's almost like the resurrection. Sometimes there's different books that read
Yeah.
this one as him being resurrected, like, which is always interesting, like an ascending consciousness almost
Yeah.
is what that,
Okay.
does that make sense?
That makes sense. An ascending
Mm,
consciousness. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
I love this because this is Venus in Scorpio, and that's where like I have Venus in Scorpio, and it could be about extremes, right?
Okay.
Um,
That
so
makes
it's like
sense.
passion, right? It's
Hmm.
like passionate, but it's like, are you you're in the extreme end of things, right? There's nothing that's in the middle here. So it could just be a moment to like check it, take a second, look at everything, evaluate everything that's going on, but then go take action, right? Which
Right.
is what we do in the 8. Anything else for the 7 before we move to the 8?
No, I'm
Okay.
good.
So in the 8 of Cups, I love this card. This is the
Hmm.
card of moving on. So there's an eclipse here in the background with the moon. And then there's the 8 cups that are here. And you can notice like there's 1 cup missing. And I like it because sometimes the figure, again, we're kind of giving that Fool energy, and they're moving on. And it's interesting because it's like the cups are on the one side, and then there's all this water, and then the figures on the other side. So it's like, well, I have all these very, it's like a strong foundation, right? They're
Yeah.
organized, they're in order, they're stacked. I've got all these things, but I'm going to look for this, what's missing.
Right.
And eclipses, time-wise, eclipses happen every 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So this looks more like a lunar eclipse because it looks like it appears to be nighttime. But regardless, eclipses are very intense periods, and they adjust things that are out of alignment, or they bring order to chaos, right? Or things, they really reveal to you the things that need to be changed. And I feel like that's what this figure has learned, and they are kind of going and they're looking for that 9th cup that's there. Moving on,
Yeah.
emotionally moving on.
Yeah.
How do
So
you read that one?
I read it as like a departure,
Mm-hmm.
a departure from the past,
Mm-hmm.
moving towards the future, which is funny because the Eight of Wands for me is also a movement card.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this one is a lot slower.
Florida.
um, but it's a good moving on. It's a wayfinding, if you will, with the. It, I mean, to me, that's the man on the moon going in front of
Mhm.
the sun,
Oh, I like that.
with the face. Like, why, I don't know, why have a face? The moon has a face, but it's almost like it's guided. It's like, you know, your emotions, your intuition, your heart is guiding you. You're leaving
Mhm.
something in the past and you're moving forward. There's a departure from something, um, towards, you know, moving on and seeking something. But the light is there. It's almost like the moon image where there's the path, right? You have the
Yeah.
moon, you have the dogs, you have the path. But yeah, so I mean, it's a slightly illuminated, um,
Right
unknown
timing. Yeah.
path. Yeah,
Like the time is right. And
yeah.
from a relationship, like from, it would be like, this is someone who is going to find their internal happiness, or they're going to go
Hmm.
find things that are making them happy. And this is, if this was somebody in a relationship, I would encourage them to reflect on different types of possibilities with or without that partner.
Yeah,
Um, and really check in on the fulfillment that they're getting from these relationships or these connections, and seeing like, is, if there are things missing, um, go and find them. And not in a, sometimes some of our, we can be quite disposable, right?
yes.
Or temporary. It's not that. This is 8 cups. So this is if we want to say each cup, this is almost a year, if we want to say each cup is a month, right? So this is something
Mhm.
that's had kind of a substantial amount of time, right? If in a year and if you've seen people move through the seasons, and if you've moved through seasons with people, if there's not growth and it continues, some people just continue to do the same thing, then
Yeah.
this would be an invitation to go and to explore new relationships and new connections that will help you to kind of find those pieces that are missing that are
Yeah.
important to you. Hmm.
So 100%, this is to me a more of like a self-discovery card.
Hmm.
But if you're looking at like a relationship, especially if you're looking at like a long-term partnership or a marriage,
Hmm.
yes, you when you talk about the base layer being the foundation, and then the missing piece, one of the things that in relationship therapy, when people go to therapy together,
Hmm.
is they always kind of say like reflect and look back at like what made you fall in love with that person,
Hmm.
right? At the end of the day, if a relationship is going to work out or not work out, it's usually how you've changed. What is that piece that
Yeah.
is missing? And seek to find it. So is it through counseling? Is it through introspection? Is it through what are the things that I need? This person is moving outward, right? They're
Hmm.
on a journey to find it. So whatever that journey is, again, you never want to say break up with someone. We have disposable relationships, but think about that solid foundation that you've made with that other person,
Hmm.
and then just kind of work on what is missing. What is that piece that's missing? Is it communication? Is it,
Hmm.
are they spending your life savings? Is it, um, and through being able to find that, I mean, if you move towards nine, to me, that means contentment. Moving
Yeah,
towards finding contentment, you need to figure out if that is leaving that person behind or working together to fill in that gap,
I
right?
agree.
Yeah.
Anything else for this card?
I mean, in terms of career, again, it's,
Hmm.
you've created a solid foundation. You've maybe gone to school, you've built up your seniority, you have taken on different roles, you're
Hmm.
comfortable. But if there's something that you're seeking, something that's missing, you need to go out and find whatever it
Hmm.
is to fill that. Is it looking for a new role? Is it just finding enjoyment in your day-to-day work? Is it, needing a new challenge? Again, you have to kind of go and find that. And in terms of health, again, this is an emotional
Hmm.
mental health card. And again, it's like, you've lived 25 years, you've lived 62 years. What's your foundations? What are the
Yeah.
things that you've, relied on in your life, emotionally?
Hmm.
And then this is an action card. This is, you need to move, you need to find, you need to seek out something that's going to act on, filling that empty area or fill
Hmm.
your cups, emotionally, um, spiritually, intuitively. What is
Hmm.
it that you need to seek and find?
I agree. To
Yeah.
me, you have like this solid foundation. Sometimes, and I don't necessarily see this as an abandonment card. To me, it's an acknowledgement of what's there and
Yeah.
recognizing that there's something missing, and then it's going out and finding it, and
Yeah.
just knowing that it'll take time, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
there's mountains, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's going to be peaks, and it's not an easy road.
It's a
That
journey.
it's a journey. It
Because
is.
to me, the four is being closed off and not really being able to see what's there, and eight
Yeah.
is seeking it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Anything else for this card?
In terms of, having support, you know, maybe astrology a little bit better, but like this person is
Mhm.
out on the journey on their own. What does an
Mhm.
eclipse mean? What does like the moon kind of like
Yeah. So the moon is
watching
a
you?
reflector. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The moon is a reflector, right? So it's like the moon doesn't actually produce its own energy, it reflects light.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be something's being shown to you or reflected to
Mm-hmm.
you that's making you realize, like, oh, I have to go find something else, or there's something missing, like that I'm being shown. Um, and eclipses, those things
Eclipses
that you
always are, but this is a lunar eclipse or this would be a solar eclipse. A
Yeah,
lunar
well,
eclipse?
if it's the man in the it's a lunar eclipse because the moon would be in front of the sun if that's
Yeah.
how we're looking at it. So it could be like in the darkness, right? Like
Hmm.
when no one's looking or whatever, right? It's to me, it's also an internal card.
Yeah.
Because it is dark and the moon is introspection. So it
Hmm.
would be like, what is it that you are still looking to fulfill?
Yeah.
Mhm. And
Kind of.
it's
Yeah.
either
All
six
right.
months or 2 years. So the eclipses happen every 6 months and in 2 year cycles.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I knew you had an answer.
Sometimes. Okay. I can't think of anything else for this card. Anything
No,
else for this card?
no, that's good. I
Moving
like
on.
it. Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on. And then we move to the Nine of Cups. I love this card. This card is so interesting because when I first started reading, I was like, oh, it's so straightforward. And then I started looking into it and it becomes way more complex. So, overall, a very content figure is sitting there. They're very happy. There are the 9 cups. So, we can see that we have found that, this ninth cup that we are looking for, we found it. Right. And we're very happy. There's lots of yellow. Yellow represents like happiness and light and power and strength. And overall, just contentment is my primary word. This is also like a wish card. So it's like wishes come true, abundance,
Mm.
good health, self-love, things that just it's like, oh, thank goodness, like makes you really, really happy, right? Am I missing anything else? Oh, so the background, which is so interesting, is like a table with the cups on it, and then somebody interpreted it in their own kind of a projection onto it, but it's like, what's behind the curtain, right?
Right.
Yeah. So,
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. I know.
why is the table like 6 feet tall? Like,
Yeah, why is the table 6 feet tall?
yeah.
I know whenever I started reading this card, I was like, I'm just gonna pass this one. Like, I know everything is on display. He's super happy.
Mhm,
There's a lot of yellow. It's joyful. He's smiling. For me, for this card is contentment. It
mhm,
is abundant. It
mhm.
is there's a security there because
Yes.
I kind of think of it as like trophies or like awards.
Yes.
And it's not behind like in your high school or whatever, like things are behind that glass, so nobody steals it. And for him to just have it on display is like there's like a sense of security, there's
Mhm,
comfort, there's achievement, contentment there, which moves along to what I think 10 is. And for 10 is fulfillment. But
mhm.
why is the table 6 feet high?
I don't know. So I've looked, so sometimes I'll see it as like a banquet table,
Yeah.
right? I just think, well, I'm also a tall person, so I just naturally impose those types of things. But some people see it as like a banquet table and you're celebrating and you're
Hmm.
like, here's all of my accomplishments. Because the
Yeah.
nine is as much as nine is an sorry, tens are an ending, nines are endings too.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like sharing your riches with others. I don't know why it's so tall.
I don't
Um,
know. Okay.
I don't know, and why like the seat that he's sitting on is so low.
Low.
But even the body, like that's a very secure body language as well. Like they're very open, but they're very
Hmm.
confident and saying like,
Hmm.
here's everything that I've accomplished. Here's everything. Um, here I've reached emotional security
Yeah.
almost, right? Because again, like this is intuition, feelings. It's like mind body connection. It's like intimacy connection. I don't know. Maybe I'll look at Benabel and see what they say about why it's so tall.
Yeah.
Do you want to chat about um health for this card while I look that up?
Yeah, I mean, this card is kind of like the Ace of Cups. It kind of is one of those self-explanatory ones. And when it comes
Yeah.
up, I mean, out of out of all of the figures in the tarot, this is like the only one that you can see with that kind of facial
Yeah.
expression, smiling, right? Like this is a happy card. This is so in terms of health, this might just mean like uh maybe you've hit that health goal. Maybe you are finally feeling content with your body.
Hmm.
Maybe you're feeling content with, um, the
Spiritual fulfillment.
spiritual fulfillment, but also like you're just feeling comfortable in your skin.
Yeah, you're
This
good.
is somebody who's not necessarily like working to achieve something. You've achieved it. You've achieved comfort in your skin. You've achieved comfort in your spirituality. You are showing, I don't want to say like showing yourself off, but like maybe your attitude emotionally has changed, like a different perspective. Maybe
Mhm.
you have been having some, issues with your gut, and maybe, you've hit that dietary understanding and you're feeling comfortable with it. Maybe
Mhm.
you're not having the health discomforts. Maybe are a migraine sufferer and have finally found like don't eat chocolate and cheese. Take a pill when you start to get a little bit of an aura. But for me, this just kind of means like you're comfortable is where you are. Yeah.
I agree. So she doesn't say anything about why it's so tall.
Okay.
But the holistic tarot interpret it's that the blue curtain cloth symbolizes the curtain around the seeker's dream world and thoughts.
Mm.
The vision of wealth is still a figment of their inner fantasies as they appear surrounded by the blue. But I don't necessarily get that. Like to me, this is like you're in that state of happiness. You're in
Yeah.
that state of content. Like you've got it. All those
Yeah.
things that you've been working on, you have the people, right? You have the emotional connections that you need. You have the spiritual fulfillment that you've been looking for. You
Hmm.
trust your intuition. That's what this card gives me.
Yeah.
Happiness all around. Good
Yeah.
news. You have all the things.
Yeah.
Anything else for this card?
No, I think if we were to talk about career or anything like that, it's just kind of like
Same.
achievements. You've made it,
Yeah,
you feel comfortable, you feel settled, you feel, all of those kind of description words about,
I agree.
yeah, health, wellness, relationships. Yeah.
Your wishes have come true.
Yeah.
Because he almost does look like a genie too. But
Yeah.
all right. And so the last card, now that we get to the 10, this is one of
Mm.
my absolute favorite cards. It really represents wholeness,
Yeah.
emotional wholeness, spiritual wholeness. There's different ways that you can look at the figures. So these could be, you can see that they're very much cloth the same. So these are people, relationships, connections that have been in your life for a long time, right? So here they appear almost as children and then they've matured into adults. So these are people that you've been able to grow and mature with,
Hmm.
which kind of like helps with that happiness and abundance, and that feeling of like emotional security that comes with really foundational, like long-term partnerships and connections that you have with people. It could also be a family dynamic,
Hmm.
if that's something that you're looking towards. Like, could be children, if that's something that you want to have, and like the legacy that you leave behind. I always love this card as a medium whenever I get it, because it's like the rainbow bridge here. So it's a
Hmm.
nod to our connection to the other side, kind of like that mind, body, spirit connection that we have. It's fulfillment, contentment, prosperity,
Yeah.
family, joy, all the things in this card. Sorry, I have the hiccups now.
And I
So
agree.
yeah.
I agree. Like 10 is the ultimate, for me, this is joy, this is fulfillment, this is family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Stability, trust, all of those emotional security needs that are
Hmm.
met, that we look for in meaningful relationships. So if this were to come up in a health reading, I would literally, well, it's interesting two ways. So, one, like celebrate. I would be like, celebrate, you have good health, you have good peace. This is someone who's
Yeah.
at peace. They've come to the end. The worst part is over. You have all the support you need. You have all the
Yeah.
people on your team. You have this understanding. And this could also be if you are navigating through grief and loss, this could be that sign that like you're being supported from the other side, right? From
Hmm.
just because grief is such a like it's a big topic that I'm around, that sometimes this card will come up if someone has been struggling with their grief. I'll actually get the 10 of cups, and it's almost as if their loved one is saying like, hey, I'm still with you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Or I was going to
remember.
say it's finally
Mhm.
grief resolved. It's kind of that
Yeah.
acceptance component.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. What else for health would you oh, I would like celebrate too. What else would you
Yeah.
say for health?
For health, I mean, this is joy and fulfillment. This is like the ultimate comfort, end of a cycle.
Mhm.
If for health, if they've been, this is kind of like the rainbow or the sun that comes out after the storm.
Mhm.
There's the realization, the actualization component that comes with this card.
Mhm.
Success, right? Like,
Yeah.
and again, there's the rainbow component of it as well. So it's like,
Mhm.
the bridge, you've, um, you know, you're at the end of the journey, you've succeeded, you've,
Mhm.
made it through all the hurdles in terms of
Mhm.
health, emotionally, spiritually, and there's the sun and the rainbow and the pot of gold just on the other side. So that's
Yeah,
kind of what that means to me in terms of health.
I agree. Absolutely agree. And in terms of career,
Mm,
I like when this one comes up for career because it's people who feel very fulfilled by their work.
yeah,
It could be things that they've been doing for a long time,
yeah,
right? And it could be like a net or people coming to retirement, right? And they're like
exactly, yeah.
reflecting on the entire journey of their career, right? Because each cup represents like a piece of that journey.
Hmm.
Um, and all of the kind of experiences that you've had. And overall, I think this is just like you're being very fulfilled in your work.
Yeah.
Mhm. Anything else for career?
I was going to say, or the end of a cycle, your career is
Yeah.
coming to an end, you're doing all the reflection because you're retiring,
Mhm.
right? Restarting a new chapter in your life.
I agree.
Yeah.
Or you now moving into a position of mentorship,
Yeah.
right? So like you've grown and now you're able to like share that. So you stepping into a new role, maybe completing the cycle as someone who's like independently working, and now maybe you're moving on to sharing your wisdom, teaching, helping other people grow. Uh, different types of roles like that.
Hmm.
And then relationships. I always love this card. This is literally like this is one of the best cards. I actually like this card more than the lovers in relationship because it really talks about duality.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily believe in balance. I believe in like complementary relationships, right? So this is like you build connections with people where you have like complementary skills or um long-term relationships that you've been in that are like happy, you're emotionally secure, there's trust, there's vulnerability. This could represent marriage. This could represent long-term partnership. It could represent children if that's something that the seeker is looking for as a part of like completing their family.
Hmm.
But overall, it's just like enjoy it, like enjoy that happiness, enjoy that harmony, enjoy that peace that you have with these people and these partnerships that you're having. Hmm.
Agreed. I don't have anything else to add to that one.
Hmm. Okay, I'm just gonna see if I'm missing. Oh, it's interesting because one of my it's if you're searching for a new home, which I think is so interesting because of the house in
Oh,
the
okay.
background.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's here. Anyways. Okay. So happiness, joy, total love, support, contentment, ancestors, and ancestral communication. Great cards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So overall, like all of the suits, the cups are a journey. Um, but this one has like just this beautiful end to it,
Yeah.
in terms of experiences, like understanding the complexity of relationships, like the relationship with yourself, the relationship with other people, grief, mourning, loss, acceptance, moving on, personal
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment, and then being able to like coexist with people and to have harmonious relationships. I think really is the story of the cups. Um, yeah, so it is my favorite suit. I am also a water sign, so I'm
Yeah.
biased. Emotional connections. But anytime I see cups coming in, it's always like an invitation to connect to your intuition, trust your instincts, trust your gut, and to look to your emotions as the key to whatever it is that you're trying to work through. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, any final thoughts on cups?
No, but it's funny because my cat started to come out, and usually
Aw.
your cat comes out
I
when mine
know.
are out, but that didn't happen today.
No, she's locked out right
Oh, is she locked out? Okay. She's crawling
She's
up your
in the
back. Yeah,
midnight. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So that's it for the Ace of the 10. And then we will be covering the court cards with all of the other suits. So like, subscribe, comment, stay in touch, and we'll see you soon.